Let's go over this quiz about active transport. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture of one of the three different types of active transport. You have to figure out what type of active transport I'm showing before I give you the answer. Here are the three different types: endocytosis, exocytosis, and protein pumps. During endocytosis, the cell is going to bring in materials by forming a vesicle around them. Exocytosis is when the cell is going to fuse a vesicle with the membrane, releasing its contents. And protein pumps are just membrane proteins that use energy to move molecules against the concentration gradient. Now I'm going to warn you, these are kind of easy, so I'm going to go through them kind of quickly. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. Here's our first one. You can see we have a plasma membrane here, we have the contents in a vesicle, and they're being pushed outside of the cell. This is a form of exocytosis. Think exo meaning exit. Here's our next one. We can see the plasma membrane. We have a membrane protein using energy in the form of ATP, and it's usually forcing these molecules against their concentration gradient. This is an example of a protein pump. Here's our next one. You can see these molecules being intaken into the cell by having a vesicle form, and this is when the plasma membrane wraps itself around the molecule. This is endocytosis. Think endo meaning into. Here again, we have this large particle. It's moving its way into the cell, and we can see that the plasma membrane has formed a vesicle around it. This is another form of endocytosis. Here's our next one. You can see the plasma membrane. We have this protein. These hydrogen ions are moving through it, using ATP to move them again against their concentration gradient. This is an example of a protein pump. Here we have this vesicle. It's fusing with the membrane and pushing its contents out of the cell. We don't necessarily see ATP or energy being used, but we know it's being used because this is active transport. This is exocytosis. Here's our next one. We can see these molecules being taken in. There's going to be a vesicle that fuses around them. This is endocytosis. Here we see the Golgi body making vesicles, and these vesicles are going to fuse with this outer membrane and push out its contents. This means this is a form of exocytosis. Here's our last one. We have our membrane, we have our membrane protein, we have low concentrations outside, high concentrations inside. We're using energy in the form of ATP to move those molecules through that membrane protein. These are protein pumps.